All right, Morote-Seoi-Nage, really difficult technique, right? And I always like to say, like, you want sort of staggered, right? You want a high, medium, and a low drop Seoi-Nage. Well, drop Seoi-Nage is low inherently, right? But you want a mid-level and a high level. But the high Morote-Seoi-Nage, right, coming up here this way, it requires a little big mobility demand on the elbow and the shoulder, right, if you don't do it properly. So it's not an easy thing to be able to do, right? And you have to bend your knee really low. So it's almost the equivalent of like doing a really nice clean and jerk, right? Like an Olympic lift. Everything has to be super precise. All these precursors have to be met. It's very, very difficult to row. But it's nice to be able to threaten it and then go kauchi, and then the next time around, go for drop Seoi-Nage, right? So you want to go high, high, low. That's sort of the idea. Okay, let's have George open the legs a little bit more here. You want to create this space underneath, right? And you want to open so you have this space, okay? As I do so, right, I pull my opponent forward using both hands here, and then I bring my opponent's lapel all the way to the opposite armpit here. Okay, so if you face it, I'm pulling the lapel forward, and then I'm bringing the lapel to the opposite armpit. Okay, so from here, I forward, opposite armpit, I use this leg as a pendulum, I pivot, and then I drop to my knee here underneath. Okay, it's very, very important that my elbow is in front of my head. Okay, cool. Go back for a second. If Georgie is straight behind me, okay, it's going to cause a lot of trouble with my elbow and my shoulder in this direction. It's going to be very hard to do. If I do an ab crunch as well, right, Georgie's going to be doing a deadlift, and it's going to be very difficult for me to use just my abs to throw him, right? So I need that initial kazushi as the off balance forward, and then that rotation, right? So you can already tell there's so many things going on here, which makes it a very difficult throw. Okay, I go underneath, the hands are in front of me. From here, I go forward. I go forward, and then I go up. Okay, so now Georgie is off his legs here. From this position, look, I open this knee to the side, okay? And then I bring my back to the floor, okay? So the movement, once I drop here, I go forward, I open this knee forward, and then I bring my back to the ground. Okay, I'm gonna try to run my feet underneath me and then finish with the Morote-Seoi-Nage, right? This is a very, very difficult throw. If you miss, you give up your back. But if you're capable of dropping underneath and going for the Seoi-Nage, it's a very effective technique, right? Let's get one with movement. If we're moving into this direction, right? Moving, I want to position myself in front of his knee, okay? Not here. If I'm directly in front of him, and if we're static, I want to open to the side and fill this pocket. But if we have movement, I want to drop right in front so his knee almost goes into my back, okay? So as we're moving to this direction, I run my legs and I go underneath, right? That would be sort of a moving scenario. Now, looks pretty easy when the person's kind of going for me, right? A lot of the times what happens is when the person is pinning this elbow to my hip, it's going to be very, very difficult to rotate into this movement. So when I go for this drop Seoi-Nage, I can't rotate right into this technique. So what I want to do is I want to create a little bit of space. Okay? As I retreat here, look, I bring this elbow tight to my body here. Okay? As I'm retreating, I bring this elbow tight to my body. So from this position, I rotate and then meet George's body in front here, okay? And now look, I can bring him forward, elevate, back step, and bring my back to the floor. Right? Very, very difficult. Another option, when my opponent is pinning this elbow down to my hip, okay? Now, I'm retreating, but this elbow is behind my body, okay? As I'm retreating, it's still difficult to go through here. So this is one of the initial barriers that I have to clear if I want to do drop Seoi-Nage here, right? The way I do this is as he's pinning this elbow, I rotate my arm inside the gi and try to bring this elbow to the outside of his hand. Once I have the elbow to the outside of his hand, look, I can put a lot of tension on this circle here. I could put a lot of tension on this hand and cut this hand, okay? As he goes to re-grab this lapel, the sleeve, look, I open, and then there's my timing to go Seoi-Nage, right? So if he's pinning this elbow down, right? I rotate, cut, there's my Morote-Seoi-Nage. And like all techniques, this is only good if you have A and B, right? If you go back and forth. So if you have a Morote-Seoi-Nage, you need a coaching. You have to be able to do judo here, right? I like low sleeve to be able to cup this hand, adjust, moving, bring the elbow to my body, drop Seoi-Nage. And every time he resists by taking a step forward, right, because I want to throw him over here, I want to be able to adjust, switch, and go coaching. So now I have a complementary set of techniques. Forward, back, forward, back, forward, back. Every time I'm moving, I'm trying to clear this elbow. Kochi, there's my elbow. Right? And as you can tell, these movements, if you can master it, very, very effective. They're very hard on your knees, a lot of demand on your elbow, a lot of demand on your shoulders. That's why you commonly see lightweight champions in their early 20s doing this kind of judo style. Right? Moving, adjusting, cutting the angles, right? From here to turn is difficult. Cut the angle, and I'm trying to fill this space here. Bow, adjust, cut this hand, moving, coaching, right? Angling off here, there's my drop Seoi-Nage, right? So very, very difficult to go. Right? Seoi-Nage, back, right? Moving, coaching, and then Seoi-Nage. Now you throw that in there, and now you have back, Seoi-Nage, Tomoe-Nage. Right? It's a whole system that you could do. Right? All for this position. Right? This is like almost 50-50. Right? When I'm adjusting, moving. Adjusting, moving. Kochi, fake Tomoe-Nage, Kochi, Morote-Seoi-Nage, adjusting. Tomoe-Nage here, Kochi, adjusting. Bringing this on. So that would be my spiel on Morote-Seoi-Nage. Not so easy to do. It's a thing people do. Love it. If you're in your young 20s, you could be in your 50s, but learning this is going to be difficult. Not difficult, you can do it. It's just going to be a lot of demand on your knees, elbow, shoulder. If you miss, this kind of thing happens. I did it today. Luca came down on me. I went for it and I kind of hurt my rib a little bit. Nothing major, right? It's kind of a pain, you know? And the more you take that, the harder it is to recover from it. And very psychological too, right? Because if you miss, elbow, right? Sometimes you're dropping on his knees and the person sprawls, and you're taking all this weight, compression down on your knees and your back, right? So it's not very fun. You don't see that many heavyweights do it. They do it. You just see a lot more lightweights do it, right? Fast, lightweight, nimble, going underneath, right?